My family said, "You're not really her dad. You don't need to be at the hospital." So I sat in the waiting room. Then the nurse came out and said, "She's asking for her real father." And I stood up. The day started like static, sharp, grating, and everywhere. I hadn't slept. Just sat in the kitchen, staring at the cold coffee in my mug, trying not to scream. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. She was in surgery, and I was in limbo. The worst kind. The kind where you're not even allowed to feel because you're not technically part of the story. But screw that. I raised her. I was there for every scraped knee, every math test meltdown, every 2 a.m. nightmare that had her crawling into bed beside me whispering, "Dad?" Not Josh. Me. And still, when the nurse called the family in that morning, it was his name they called, not mine. Let me rewind. Her name's Emma. She's 16. Smart, a little sarcastic, fiercely loyal. The kind of girl who learned to hide her tears by age 10 because the world taught her crying made you weak. She's not mine biologically. Her mom, Lacey, got pregnant during a brief thing with Josh, 29, male, aka sperm donor, and my personal migraine in human form. He bailed 3 months in. Never saw a single ultrasound, never bought a single diaper. He showed up to court once, late, reeking of weed, didn't contest anything, walked out mid-hearing. That was the last we saw of him for over a decade. I met Lacey when Emma was 5. She used to cling to her mom's leg like she was bracing for the earth to drop out from under her. First time I made her laugh was over burnt pancakes. I flipped one too high, it hit the ceiling, and she just snorted. After that, she followed me around the house like a duckling. She started calling me dad without anyone asking her to. I never pushed it. I just showed up. School pickups, soccer games, braces, tampon runs, crying in the parking lot after her first heartbreak. When Lacey got sick last year, breast cancer, aggressive, Emma didn't want anyone else in the room. It was me holding her while the nurses explained treatment side effects. Me holding her hair back while she puked. Josh, still off somewhere posting cryptic gym selfies and "Fatherhood is a journey" captions under photos of other people's kids. Then Lacey died. That's when things changed. Josh resurfaced, like some parasite that could smell inheritance. He showed up at the funeral in a suit 2 sizes too tight and crocodile tears in his eyes. Tried to hug Emma. She flinched. He made a whole speech about making up for lost time. Said he wanted custody. I thought she'd laugh. But instead, Emma said, "I don't want to choose. I just lost my mom." That custody hearing gutted me. No joke, I threw up in the courthouse bathroom before we went in. Josh showed up with a lawyer in a $3,000 suit and a portfolio of inspirational quotes printed on cardstock. Said he was ready to step up. Said I was just the mom's boyfriend. Never mind the fact that Emma hadn't lived with him, hadn't even spoken to him in 12 years. Didn't matter. The court ruled he was still the legal parent. I got visitation, like I was the side character in a life I built. Emma hugged me outside the courtroom, whispered, "It's just paperwork. You're still my real dad." But now here we were. She'd collapsed at school, emergency surgery, and when I ran to the hospital, they told me I wasn't on the contact list, that I could sit in the waiting room until a real parent gets here. Then, the nurse came out. Her scrubs were smeared with blood. Her eyes scanned the room. She's asking for her real father, and I stood up. Every eye in the waiting room shifted toward me like it was some goddamn courtroom. I stood. I didn't say anything, just moved, steady, focused. Like if I made a sound, the world would shatter. The nurse hesitated, glancing at the chart. "You're her dad," I said. My voice didn't even shake. She studied me for half a beat, then nodded. "Follow me." I didn't look at anyone. Not the receptionist who'd told me I couldn't go back. Not Josh's mother, who had shown up 20 minutes earlier. Offered me a pitying look and said, "You've been so kind, really, but this is a family matter." Family, that word. It's like they trademarked it. Like being blood gave them a monopoly on love. The hallway smelled like bleach and trauma. We passed 2 nurses whispering by a vending machine. One of them said, "That poor girl. Just 16. Room 314. The door was cracked open. Machines beeped in quiet rhythm. Like a metronome counting down the seconds I'd been waiting to hear her voice again. She was pale. Pale in a way that made my stomach turn. There was an IV in her arm and oxygen in her nose. Her eyes were fluttering open and shut. But when they saw me, really saw me, God, she smiled. "Dad," she whispered. Just that. 2 syllables. Like she was anchoring herself to the world with my name. I didn't cry. Not yet. I sat down and took her hand, careful not to jostle the wires. "I'm here, kiddo." She nodded, weakly. "They said you might not come." "I've been here," I said. "They just wouldn't let me in." She blinked slowly like she was processing that. "Did Josh come?" Her real father. The one with her last name on his ID. "Not yet." She didn't say anything, just squeezed my hand. I stayed with her through the night. I sang her the stupid song I used to sing when she was 7 and scared of thunderstorms. I read from her favorite book, the one with the bent corners and the gum wrapper she used as a bookmark. I wiped her forehead when she got feverish and buzzed the nurse when the pain spiked. No one kicked me out. No one questioned it, not once, until 7 a.m. That's when Josh showed up. I saw him through the glass. Aviator sunglasses, gym bag slung over his shoulder like he was dropping by Equinox. He walked up to the nurse's station and said, "I'm here to see my daughter." My daughter. The nurse pointed toward the room. I stood. Something in me turned to ice. He stepped in, smile already on his face. "Hey, sweet pea." Emma flinched. He didn't notice, just kept talking. "Heard you gave everyone a scare, huh? But you're a fighter, like your old man." I didn't say a word, just watched. He looked over and finally acknowledged me with a nod that barely registered, like I was the dog walker. "The help. She asked for me," he said under his breath, smug. "Yeah," I said. "She did." And then Emma opened her mouth. "No," she whispered. "I didn't." Josh blinked. "What?" "I asked for my real dad," she said, her voice shaking now, rising, slicing through the room like a scalpel. "Not you." He laughed, but it cracked halfway through. "Em, come on. I don't know you," she said. "You're a stranger." "He's not." Josh looked like someone had slapped him. "I'm your father." "No," she said again, louder this time. "He is." And that's when the machine of his ego cracked open, his jaw clenched. He turned to me. "This is your fault," he hissed. "You poisoned her against me." I didn't even move, just met his eyes and said, "No, you did that all by yourself." Josh didn't take it well. He turned red so fast it looked like someone had flipped a switch under his skin. His fists clenched, chest puffed like he was about to square up, right there, in a pediatric ICU room, with his daughter hooked to machines. "You think you're some kind of hero?" he spat. "You're just a glorified babysitter." I stayed seated, calm, because Emma's heart monitor was climbing and I wasn't going to be the reason it spiked. But I looked him dead in the eye and said, "You walked away." "I didn't." His voice got louder. "You manipulated her, turned her against me. You think this makes you something? You think this makes you her father?" Emma whimpered, a soft, panicked sound. Her fingers tightened on mine. That's when the nurse came back in. Bless her. "Sir," she said to Josh, with the tone you use for a drunk guy at a wedding, "you need to leave." Josh looked stunned. "I have rights. I'm her father. You're upsetting the patient," she said coolly. "If you don't leave, I'll call security." He turned back to Emma, eyes wide. "You're letting him do this? You're choosing him over me?" Emma didn't even blink. "Yes." I think that broke something in him. He stood there a second longer, then threw his gym bag across the room, hard. It slammed into the wall and knocked over the IV stand. Emma flinched, her monitor beeping wildly now. The nurse pressed the emergency button. In less than 10 seconds, 2 security guards were in the room. "This man is leaving," the nurse said. "Now." They didn't even ask questions, just flanked him and guided him out. He didn't resist, just kept staring at me like he was memorizing my face for revenge. Once the door shut, the silence was deafening. Emma was breathing hard. I wiped a tear from her cheek. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "For what?" I didn't want it to be like this." I nodded. "I know." She paused. Then, "Are they going to let you stay?" "I'm not going anywhere," I said. "They'd have to drag me out." The nurse came back a few minutes later with a social worker and a doctor. They spoke in quiet voices, apologized for the disturbance, asked if Emma felt safe. She nodded, still gripping my hand. And then the doctor asked something I didn't expect. "Is there any legal paperwork establishing guardianship or power of attorney?" I froze, because the truth was, there wasn't. We'd always meant to. After Lacey passed, there were a dozen forms I meant to file, meetings with lawyers I put off because I thought love was enough. I thought being there, showing up, doing the work, that counted. It didn't. Not legally. Josh was still on the birth certificate. That gave him more power than I had on paper. I looked at Emma. Her face was pale again, exhausted. "It's okay," she whispered. "I don't care about paperwork. I care about you." But I knew it mattered. If anything happened, God forbid, if she needed decisions made about her care, her future, her life, Josh had legal say, and I didn't. That night, when she fell asleep, I sat in the hallway with a vending machine coffee and fire in my chest. I pulled out my phone, called my friend Theo. He's a lawyer, good guy, helped me draft my will last year. When he answered, I didn't even say hello. "I need to become her legal guardian," I said. "As fast as humanly possible." He paused. Then, "I'll make it happen." Because now it wasn't just about showing up. It was about making sure no one ever questioned again who her real father was. Theo moved fast. Faster than I thought possible for a guy who normally took 3 weeks to return a text. By the next morning, I had a list of everything I'd need. Proof of residency, statements from Emma's school, letters of character from people who'd known us as a family. He said the court could move quickly in emergency situations, especially when a minor's health or safety was at risk. So while Emma slept, I started building the case for what she already knew in her bones, that I was her dad. I didn't even go home. Theo faxed forms to the hospital, nurses notarized, Her pediatrician wrote a letter on the spot, said I'd been at every appointment for the last 10 years. Her principal wrote that I was the only parent who'd ever come to teacher conferences. I had the receipts, all of them, but I was still scared because Josh wasn't done. That afternoon, he came back, not to the room, security had barred him, but to the hospital's front desk, with a lawyer, a woman in a designer suit who looked at the nurses like they were roaches. They tried to tell her he wasn't allowed on the floor, but she insisted she was there to review the conditions of his daughter's care. It was pure performance. Legal theater. Josh wanted a fight. He couldn't stand losing face. I got wind of it when the hospital administrator called me to a conference room. I sat across from the suit, hands clenched under the table. "We're just trying to understand the custodial situation," she said, all fake calm. "Mr. Reynolds is the biological father, who abandoned her for 13 years, I cut in. She didn't flinch. "That doesn't negate legal parentage. Does neglect negate it?" Theo arrived halfway through, walked in like he owned the place, handed over our petition for emergency guardianship, and said, "This is being filed today. We've got statements, affidavits, medical history, school records, the works. If your client wants to challenge it, he's welcome to. But I'd advise him to think long and hard about dragging a recovering teenager through a custody battle when he hasn't seen her since she was in diapers." The lawyer blinked. Once, then Josh stood. This isn't over, but the way he said it, it sounded hollow, desperate, because for the first time he realized he was losing, not just in court, in the one place that actually mattered, Emma's heart. I went back to her room. She was awake, watching some old Pixar movie with the volume down. She turned when I walked in. "He came back, didn't he?" I nodded. She didn't cry, didn't even blink, just said, "Figures." I sat down beside her, and for a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said something I'll never forget. "If anything happens to me, I want you to be the one who decides, not him." That's when I broke. Not loud, not sobbing, just a quiet, helpless kind of cry. I kissed her forehead and promised her the paperwork was already on its way. That night, I got a text from Theo. Filed. Court date's Friday. I should have felt relieved, but I didn't. Because then Josh started showing up online. He made a Facebook post, public of course, about fighting to be in his daughter's life and protecting her from manipulation. He posted a photo of her from when she was a toddler, said he missed those days and was doing what's right. And people who didn't know jack about the situation started commenting. Stuff like, "She'll come around eventually. Blood is blood. You can't erase a father." I wanted to scream, to reach through the screen and shake every smug idiot who thought DNA made you a parent. But Emma, she saw it too. And what she did next, I didn't see coming. Update 1. Hey Reddit. I didn't think I'd be back this soon, but y'all kind of blew up my inbox. I read every comment. Yes, even the unhinged one about starting a podcast called Real Dad Energy. Appreciate the laughs, seriously. Some of you messaged me just to say, "Thank you for being the kind of dad most of us never had." That one hit me hard. I didn't realize how many people out there grew up with ghosts in the place where a father should have been. I'm sorry, and I'm honored you see something good in what I'm doing. Now the wild part. Emma saw the post. Not mine, Josh's. His little performance piece on Facebook. I was asleep in the vinyl recliner next to her bed when I woke up to her whispering, "Can I use your phone?" Didn't ask why, just unlocked it and handed it over. She scrolled for about 10 minutes, then held the screen up so I could see Josh's post. The one with the baby picture and the caption, "A father's love never dies. Praying for my daughter's recovery and for the strength to be there when she's ready." Emma read it, then said, deadpan, "I think I'm gonna vomit." Then she opened her own Instagram, and she posted. She picked a photo from last year, her birthday. She's holding the stuffed elephant I gave her, icing on her nose, laughing at something off camera. I was the one behind that camera. That day, she'd told me, this was the first birthday that felt right. She captioned it, "Some people love you because they want the world to see it. Others love you quietly, every single day, no matter who's watching. Real dads don't need applause." I already know who's been there. No blood required. It was like she flipped the narrative mid-scroll. Josh commented, of course, something performative and gross like, "I'll always be here when you're ready to come home." She didn't respond. But her next story was just a boomerang of me refilling her water cup in a hospital hoodie with the text, "Already am home." That night, Josh's mom, yeah, the same one who told me, "This is a family matter," texted me, said Emma's post was cruel, and that I was manipulating a child against her biological roots. I didn't reply. Emma did, from her own phone. She texted her grandma back one sentence, "Stop speaking for people you abandoned." Guys, I swear this girl has more backbone at 16 than most adults I know. And I think that's when something shifted. Emma took control of her own story. Not me, not Josh, not the lawyers or the nurses or anyone with an opinion about who gets to call themselves dad. Her. Friday's the court date. I'm nervous. I'm angry. I'm tired. But for the first time in weeks, I'm not scared. She asked for her real father, and now she's fighting for him too. Court on Friday was electric, not in a good way. Not in a "we won and everyone clapped" way. It was the kind of tense where even the ceiling tiles felt like they were sweating. Emma sat next to me the whole time, hospital bracelet still on her wrist, hair pulled back, spine straight like she'd built armor out of spite. Josh showed up in a press shirt and smugness. He brought the same lawyer, Barbie in a pantsuit, who opened with, "My client is simply trying to fulfill his paternal obligations, which have been obstructed by an emotionally enmeshed third party." Enmeshed. Like I was some clingy roommate in a Lifetime movie, not the man who raised her. Our lawyer, Theo, stood like he'd been waiting for this moment his whole life. Quiet, measured, lethal. He presented documentation, school records with my emergency contact info, photos from every school event for the last 10 years, letters from Emma's doctors, teachers, neighbors. The principal's letter made the judge pause. Mr. Carter has been the only parental presence at all student conferences, discipline meetings, and extracurricular events. I was unaware of any other guardian until last week, but it was Emma who buried him. The judge allowed her to speak. She didn't cry, didn't fidget. She just looked straight at that bench and said, "Josh isn't a bad person because he's not perfect. He's a bad person because he left. He missed everything. Every birthday, every dance recital. He didn't know I played violin until this week. Mr. Carter, he's been there. For all of it. He is my father. No matter what it says on a piece of paper." Josh scoffed. Actually scoffed. "You're 16. You don't understand loyalty." Emma turned, slow and sharp. "I do. I just don't owe it to a stranger." That was it. That was the nail in the coffin. The judge granted me temporary emergency guardianship on the spot pending a full custody hearing, which, let's be real, Josh won't win. The judge added that Emma's clear and consistent preference was a major factor and told Josh's lawyer, "Your client might want to consider how his absence has shaped this outcome." Afterward, outside the courtroom, Josh tried to save face. "You'll regret this," he told me. "When she gets older, she'll see I was just trying to love her." "She already sees," I said. "And you don't love someone by showing up only when it's convenient." Then he did what unstable people always do when they lose control. He escalated. By the time we got back to the hospital, my truck's windshield had been smashed in. A note on the dash read, "Hope it was worth it, Dad. The hospital has cameras." He was dumb enough to park right in front of one. Security caught him in HD, baseball bat and all. Police report's been filed. That's probably going to hurt his custody case. Oh well. But the part that got me? Emma, watching me stand beside my truck, shards of glass at my feet, just shaking. And then she walked up, calm. She picked up a piece of the broken windshield, turned it in her hand like it was glass from a church window and said, This just proves you're not like him." I raised an eyebrow. "How?" "Because if someone broke his stuff," she said, "he'd explode. But you're still here. You're always still here. And that was sweeter than any revenge." The next morning, the story hit local news. Not the full drama, obviously, but someone at the hospital leaked footage of Josh's little windshield tantrum to a neighborhood blog. From there, it snowballed. Local man destroys car in custody dispute. Child still recovering in ICU. There was even a screenshot of the note he left. "Hope it was worth it, Dad." Real Pulitzer material. Josh tried to play it off, said it was taken out of context, claimed he was just venting frustration, and that I provoked him by stealing his daughter. The internet didn't buy it. His social media went private within hours. Before that, though, Emma saw it. All of it. The posts, the comments, the thinly veiled rants he wrote pretending to be some misunderstood father fighting for his child. She didn't get mad. She didn't even roll her eyes. She just said, "Let's hit back." And then, God help me, this 16-year-old went to war. She posted a TikTok. Nothing fancy. Just a simple slideshow. Her in a hospital gown, her birthday last year, me building her science fair volcano, us at the zoo when she was 9, the two of us asleep on the couch after her first breakup. Caption, "Not all dads are blood. Some just show up and never leave." The audio? That soft-spoken voice filter that says, if he wanted to, he would, and if he didn't, he never did. It hit 100,000 likes in 4 hours. By the next day, it crossed 500,000. Suddenly, Emma had people, strangers, flooding her comments with stories like, "My stepdad is my real dad too," and "I cut off my bio dad when I turned 18, never looked back." The support was unreal. But Josh, he lost it. Started texting her nonstop, from different numbers. Long-winded rants disguised as apologies. "I know you're angry, but this is parental alienation. One day you'll see how manipulated you were. He's poisoning you against your real father." She showed me every single one. We forwarded them to Theo, who had enough ammo now to get a permanent restraining order. The hearing's scheduled for next week. And just when I thought he couldn't sink lower, Josh tried the one move I knew was coming. He went after my job, called my boss, claimed I was under investigation for child endangerment, said I shouldn't be around vulnerable minors, told the company I was falsely presenting myself as a child's legal guardian. Problem for Josh? My boss is married to a woman who also raised her stepdaughter through cancer. So instead of getting me fired, I got a text from my boss saying, "Tell your girl we're all rooting for her. Also, you're getting next week off paid. Handle what you need." Josh is unraveling, and I'm not lifting a finger to stop it. Every time he tries to smear me, Emma hits back louder. She posted another TikTok, this one just a text screen over a picture of the two of us fishing last summer. You can't lose something you never held. She's turning her pain into poetry, into strength, into armor, and I'm just standing beside her, handing her the hammer. Let him keep swinging. He doesn't know he already lost. Update 2. So, yeah, I thought I was done posting after the restraining order got approved. Thought I'd quietly fade back into being a dad who makes late-night grilled cheese and drives to violin lessons in a dented Tacoma. But then Emma dropped a bomb I wasn't ready for. She wants to change her last name. She told me while we were walking through the grocery store of all places. We were in the cereal aisle. I had just reached for the Cinnamon Toast Crunch when she looked up from her phone and said, "I think I want to be Emma Carter." I blinked. Like, legally? "Yeah," she said, casual. "Feels more honest." Let me tell you something. There are moments in life that stick to your ribs. This was one of them. I didn't cry, not in the middle of aisle 5, but I definitely held my breath long enough for her to notice. "I know it doesn't undo everything," she said, "but it feels like drawing a line in the sand." And she meant it. We're starting the paperwork next week. Now here's the part you guys are going to love. Josh found out. Want to guess how? He got tagged in a TikTok. Someone screen recorded Emma's latest post, a soft piano version of The Nights by Avicii, playing under clips of us building her new bookshelf together, and tagged Josh's old handle in the comments with, "Meanwhile, bio dad out here throwing tantrums and breaking windshields." It blew up. Again, I think people were waiting for her next move. Josh messaged her. One line, "I see how it is." She replied with 3 words, "Took you long enough." He's gone quiet since then. No new posts, no new numbers, nothing from his lawyer either. But you know who did reach out? His sister. Apparently, she saw everything online and messaged Emma directly. "I always knew he wasn't ready to be a parent. I'm proud of you for choosing who loves you. Blood doesn't mean shit." Emma read that one out loud, then looked at me with this crooked little grin and said, "Maybe karma's just good parenting in disguise." And damn if that didn't hit. The restraining order's holding. Her recovery's going well. She's walking around more, going back to school part-time next week. I'm nervous, but she's ready. Her friends printed out #Real Dad Energy stickers and put them all over her locker. I guess this story started in a hospital hallway, but it ends with my daughter choosing me. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. I wasn't in the delivery room, but I'll be there for every room after. The first time she signed it, Emma Carter, I swear my heart stopped for a second. It was just a school permission slip, standard trip to the museum. But she asked if she could use her new name, even though the paperwork wasn't finalized yet. I told her, "Of course, you're already her." She beamed. I'll never forget that look. Like she'd finally put down a backpack she didn't realize she'd been carrying for 16 years. And then, for a moment, we could breathe. No court dates, no broken glass, no lawyer calls, just peace. But peace never lasts long when someone like Josh is still out there, licking his wounds. It started subtle. A burner account on Instagram commenting under Emma's posts. "Miss the old you. He's not your real dad." Stuff like that. We blocked it. Then more popped up, all anonymous. DMS emails, even a voicemail to her school counselor claiming I was emotionally coercing her, that she was being forced to reject her biological family. The counselor called me, gently, cautiously. "We don't believe it, obviously, but we're required to report anything that looks like a custody issue." I wanted to scream, but I just said, "Tell whoever called that the court order stands." Then the packages started. First was a box of old baby photos. Emma as a toddler in a pink hoodie, Josh holding her like a prop. No note, just the past. Weaponized. Then a stuffed giraffe. Torn at the seams but familiar. She stared at it for a long time when she opened the box. "I thought I lost this when I was 5, she said, voice distant. "I used to sleep with it every night. Do you want to keep it?" She shook her head. It smells like his house." She threw it in the trash, but it got under her skin. I could see it. She got quiet. Snappier. Started sleeping with the lights on again. Checked the door twice before bed. All things I thought we were past. One night, I found her on the back porch at 2 a.m., hugging her knees. "Why won't he just leave me alone?" I sat beside her. "Because you took away the one thing he thought he owned." She looked up, eyes glistening. "Me?" I nodded. "But you were never his to own." She leaned against me, and we sat like that in the dark, listening to the silence he couldn't touch. Next day, I filed for a harassment injunction. Theo said we had more than enough. The messages, the gifts, the school call, the fake profiles. But it was Emma who delivered the final blow. She wrote a statement for the judge. One paragraph. I no longer feel safe. This is not about love. It's about control. I choose to heal without him. That one line, I choose to heal without him, carved through everything. The judge signed the order the same day. Josh is legally barred from contacting her, from approaching her school, from even mailing a damn giraffe. He tried to appeal. The court laughed him out of the building. And Emma? She's sleeping again. She hums while doing dishes. She draws in the margins of her notebooks. She asked if we could repaint her room. I want it to feel like mine, she said. So we painted it sage green. Her choice. And for the first time in months, the walls stopped echoing. We finished her room on a Sunday, paint still drying on the walls. We laid on the floor, me, her, and the dog, just staring up at the ceiling like we'd built a whole new universe from scratch. She'd picked out string lights shaped like little stars, said she didn't want to be afraid of the dark anymore. That part stuck with me, not just because it meant she was healing, but because for so long, she'd been afraid of the wrong things. Do you think he'll stop? She asked, eyes following the spinning ceiling fan. Yeah, I said, because now he has no way in. She nodded, slowly. But then, I don't want to be afraid to get excited about stuff anymore. Like college, or birthdays, or my own future. You shouldn't be, I told her, and I meant it. That week, she applied for early college programs, put together a portfolio for art school. She even asked if I'd teach her how to drive stick, because apparently, real adults should know how to stall at every stoplight at least once. We laughed until our stomachs hurt, and then something wild happened. The local news station that covered Josh's vandalism stunt reached back out. They wanted to do a human interest follow-up. Not about him, about her, about resilience, reclaiming your voice, community. At first I hesitated, but she didn't. This time, she said, I want people to hear it from me. So she did it. Sat in front of a camera in her green-walled room, wearing her new sweatshirt that said, I picked my dad, and told the story. All of it. They aired it on a Thursday night. It went viral. The part that hit everyone, when the reporter asked, what would you say to other kids who feel like their real parent isn't the one they share DNA with? Emma didn't miss a beat. She said, the people who choose you every day, that's who you belong to. Love is louder than blood. Phones started blowing up. Teachers emailed her. Friends' parents dropped off cupcakes. Strangers sent letters. One woman wrote, your words made me reach out to my stepmom for the first time in a decade. Josh? He posted one last thing before deleting his Facebook entirely. Some of us were never given a fair shot. And for the first time, neither of us responded. Because there was nothing left to say. Emma is safe. Her name is hers. Her room is green. Her voice is loud. And me? I still make late-night grilled cheese. Still keep extra blankets in the truck, just in case. But I'm not just a stand-in anymore. I'm her father. For real. Forever. And the best part? She picked me.